Remember I told you they were gonna do that?
Yeah.
So they took him to the vet. And the cat's chips.
Yeah.
Oh, Jan in Switzerland. They were like, we have your cat. You won't give him up.
Oh, no, they want to take care of
I'm
him.
not upset.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'm not a cat person.
If they want to take care of him, fine.
Well, you know, if he's an only child.
Good evening and welcome to the Mount Olive Township meeting for July 12, 2016. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence for the men and women that serve us and also for the fallen police officers in Dallas.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Michelle, would you read the Open Public Meetings Act, please?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda, Mr. Ferrante, Mrs. Labow.
Here.
Mr. Mania.
Here.
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
Mr. Roman.
Here.
Mr. Nicastro.
Here. Mr. Ferrante is stuck in traffic, might be here shortly. He had sent the message. First item up is executive session, affordable housing. Mr. Mania, would you take us into executive
Thank you,
session?
Mr. President. According to Section 708 of the Open Public Meetings Act, I make a motion we move into executive session to discuss affordable housing matters, noting that the minutes will be available upon conclusion of the issue.
Sec.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That goes on. You gotta go shut the video. Waiting for that. Oh.
Yeah, move out of executive.
Hey, warrant.
That's a good point. I gotta take a look at it. Introduction.
I know. Waiting for you. It's gonna hit myself. Okay, do we have a motion to go back, leave executive
I'll
session?
make a motion, we move out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Call back the Mount Olive Township Workshop back session back into order. We have 4 resolutions. Does anyone have any questions
I just,
on resolutions?
do you want to say that John?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I recognize John Ferrante is
In
here.
the house.
Thank you. A little while, I
You
forgot.
have to recognize as you're here.
Any questions on the 4 resolutions or concerns, questions? Mr. Roman?
Resolution number 2, what is that exactly that we're buying?
That's an electric stretcher that was
Okay.
approved as a
Oh,
capital.
Stryker, I should have recognized that name. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we have 2 ordinances. Does anyone have any questions? The not yet, we did receive the ordinance. Mr. Roman?
On ordinance number 1, which employee, which non-union personnel was affected? Or
These are the police dispatchers.
Okay. Is that what you said?
Dispatchers.
And, all right, so those were the ones that were just raised, okay. And on ordinance number 2, section 224-14, I have an issue with the ordinance stating that no person, owner, and/or company having control over the storage of hazardous materials can store them with, within the township at a distance of not less than 1,500 feet from any building, dwelling, or improvement. My concern is that there's a lot of businesses that, as part of their normal operations, store what could be deemed as hazardous materials within their facilities. Dry cleaners, breweries, automotive shops, and a lot of us that do engage in the storage of what's quote-unquote hazardous materials already comply with federal and state regulations to inform local municipalities about what types of chemicals we store. So I think I would, for one, like to, if we're going to keep this ordinance, that we should at least cite what hazardous materials we're referring to, because we are asking, you know, this is an all-encompassing obligation or restriction.
Fred,
Yes.
could Section A under legislative findings take out hazardous materials including explosives, and could this just be listed as explosives? So that as defined, explosives are propane, butane, dynamite, nitroglycerin, picric acid, lead azide, and seems to me that explosives is really the focus of the ordinance rather than hazardous materials as a general.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent suggestion. And so if we were to just define these hazardous materials in accordance with Section 1, as the mayor just identified.
Yeah, it would be section
Right.
22411 as defined in section 1. Or take out the term hazardous materials and just the township council finds that explosive as defined herein within the township adjacent to or close proximity to populated areas.
And,
Yeah,
yeah, and then just,
think that
I would
works.
just do a little bit more research into such things as, say, commercial boosters. There are certain chemicals that are used in certain processes that could be deemed as commercial boosters for accelerant, so, you know, just want to make sure that we don't inadvertently affect a business that, you know, is going about their normal operations. You know, there are a lot of potentially hazardous and explosive materials that are, you know, used routinely.
Explosives are defined as, I don't know what a commercial booster is. Fertilizer is not included in the definition for purposes of this ordinance.
Yeah, because I mean, Lowe's, they're storing
What?
propane.
There's a lot
Right
of
at
pro-
curbside.
Walmart, a lot of them have
It's
propane.
right there.
They store it, although
Gas stations.
even
Yeah.
Minute they have, everybody's got propane.
Anybody who does the exchange program.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, you just bring your
Yeah,
tank
Lowe's
in.
has it stored right outside the door there.
Walmart.
stations.
Minute
So
Mart,
does the
you call them?
milk
Huh?
well, maybe we need to revisit this and put some type of quantity limitation so that for retail and you know, the everyday uses versus, you know, storage on a much more significant basis would be something that
Yeah.
we should address.
we'll get the input from, I don't know if the fire marshal had any input into this.
Okay.
I think he might have some knowledge as to what we might want in there.
Okay.
I would make a motion to table this.
Just a second, yeah.
Yeah, we have, there's too many.
Pardon?
Okay.
There's too much that
Yeah,
needs
there's
to
too
get
much that
worked
needs to
on.
be done.
It's not really a table, it's a reintroduction that you'd have
Yeah.
to do.
At this point,
Okay.
you know, to the next
But we
meeting.
didn't introduce it
All in
yet.
favor of that?
So,
So it's
Aye.
not a
Yes.
table.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we will
Okay.
carry that ordinance to the.
Right.
Okay,
just
Thank you.
carry it.
that's good feedback.
Any new business? Mr. Roman?
I just received the LoSAP report, and I kind of would like to see council get sent a more detailed explanation as to the assets and the performance of the LoSAP, because if I recall, this program was instituted back in 2000. I don't know what our yearly contributions are, but assuming that our yearly contributions have been the same since, as they were in 2014 and 2015, if we started with a simple $140,000 contribution and allowed that to grow at a modest 3% interest rate, assuming no payouts, that fund could have potentially had 3.1 million. My concern is that maybe there are excessive fees in this fund. So I for one would like to at least know more as to the management and the performance of this fund in order to make sure that our, you know, the benefits of the LoSAP will get as much as possible out of it.
I'll talk to Christie about it tomorrow, so we can figure out.
That's it.
Anything else?
That's it.
Any other new business? Seeing none, anyone from the public wish to be heard in this session?
Do we do old business yet?
What's that?
Did I miss the old business?
Oh, there was no, yes,
Yeah.
any old business?
I have old business.
Colleen?
I just want to thank the administration and DPW department. You know, I had made a big think about the different roads that we need to do, and I wanted Station Road last year, couldn't be done, but they were going to do it this year. And I went over, and it was repaved. Station Road's a very small road off of Old Bud Lake Heights Road, but what happened was, over the years, it was just all a bunch of patches. There was like really no road left, it was all patches. So the one resident over there, she needs to use a walker, and she was telling me that is so wonderful. Now she can actually go for a walk. She couldn't go for a walk before because of the way the road was. So it's so funny how something, I was concerned about driving on the road, you had to go like 10 miles an hour because it was so bad, or 5 miles an hour. Never even thought about somebody using a walker and you know, how it impacts, you know, all these little things come together. So I just want to thank the administration for making sure that was done. It was great, fantastic. And also I had a situation, a neighbor came over to me, and said their house flooded out over the weekend with all the rain, and it turns out there was this one drain that went under the road and into this little catch like a stream kind of a thing. And over the years, we've had different residents, so we have more cars, and people driving over it was jamming it up. And Tim's department came right out yesterday and checked it and decided it was time we really needed a basin in. Today they came over this morning, put the basin in, so now these people aren't gonna have to worry about their house flooding in a, you know, big rain. So it's really nice when we can act on these things in a very timely manner, and it's very important, very, very important.
So what you're saying is I can't expect her to get her shocks in done this year?
The what?
Her needing her shocks this year?
You're out of business.
Any other old business? Anyone from the public wish to be heard in this session? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. I'd like to open up the Mount Olive Township Council meeting for July 12, 2016. Michelle, would you read the Open Public Meetings Act, please?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda, Mr. Ferrante.
Here.
Mrs. Laybow.
Here.
Mr. Mania.
Here.
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
Mr. Roman.
Here.
Mr. Nacastro.
Here. Mr. Ferrante, would you approve the minutes from the previous meeting for June 28, 2016, workshop and public meeting?
Sure, I make a motion to approve the June 28th, 2016 workshop and public meeting minutes.
Second.
Roll call. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow.
Yes.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman.
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Yes. We have 21 pieces of correspondence. Does anyone have any questions on those? Okay. Next item on the agenda is for first reading is ordinance of the, ordinance number 15-2016 with a second reading of July 22nd, 2016. An ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive, amending ordinance number 29-2015 entitled Salaries for Certain Non-Union Personnel. Mrs. Laybow?
Oops. Sorry, I was reading
That's
something else. What am I supposed to be doing?
First reading for ordinance number 15.
First reading.
First reading.
First reading.
I move that ordinance number, what is it,
15-2016.
15-2016 be introduced by title and passed at first reading, and that the meeting be held on July 26, 2016 at 7 p.m. at the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, for a public hearing, consideration of second reading, and passage of said ordinance, and that the clerk be directed to publish, post, and make available said ordinance in accordance with the requirements of the law.
Second.
Thank you. Any council discussion? Anyone from the public wish to be heard on this one? Seeing none, close to the public. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow.
Yes.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman.
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Yes. Ordinance number 16-2016 was tabled.
Correction, 15.
15.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have anything. No, I was tabling the next one. I don't have anyone.
No,
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Saying ordinance number 16-2016 is tabled.
okay, oh,
Till
okay.
next meeting,
All
yeah,
right.
we're not on the second reading yet. Thought I was wrong again. Okay, we have 4 consent resolutions. Does anyone wish to have any non-consent? Seeing none, Mr. Stewart, would you move consent resolutions 1 through 4?
Yes, I'd like to move for adoption and final passage, the 4 consent resolutions.
Second.
Anyone from the public wish to be heard on these? Seeing none, close to the public. Any discussion from council? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante,
Yes.
Mrs. Lebaw,
Yes.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman,
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Yes. Mr. Roman, would you please move the bill list?
I move for approval of the bill list.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante,
Yes.
Mrs. Lebaw.
Yes.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman,
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Abstain on check number 72365 and check number 111, yes to everything else. Thank you. Administrative reports, Laura, Mayor?
We have 4 signs created to read Home of Couture Orgy 2016 Olympian. In addition, we have the digital board that reads that as well at Town Hall. Mount Olive Carnival went well. We doubled the attendance on Wednesday and Thursday. Obviously, Friday was a problem, but thank God we had all of the buildings and grounds and a number of additional police officers based upon the horrific weather that we had gotten. Good attendance for Sunday with fireworks, however, there were also 7 other towns that had fireworks Sunday night, so it held down the attendance slightly. I would like to thank Recreation, Buildings and Grounds, our first responders, volunteers, police, and our sponsors for making the event possible. It's my understanding that tomorrow the baseball tournament starts. Senior picnic is Thursday, July 21st at the Senior Center. And the administration and recreation are currently working on a campaign to inform the community regarding the recently installed lightning detector system that will be at Turkey Brook Park.
That's it? Anything else?
I don't have it.
That's it. Thank you very much. Any old business? Seeing none, any new business? Seeing none, any legal matters?
I think you heard from me enough tonight, Council President. I just want to mention that on the Coombsville matter, you hired an engineer to do some preliminary work. Just received a report back. He had some very positive meetings with the DEP, who in the past was an obstacle in some of the ideas that the township had with respect to that site. So I'll forward that report to the administration over the next day or so, and he continues, Mr. Kozan, to gather the information he believes is necessary to make a recommendation as to some of the options as to how you may want to proceed. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Council reports. Mr. Ferrante, anything on environmental, lake, or library?
Nothing tonight.
Ms. Lebaugh, anything on economic or TNR?
Nothing on TNR right now, except that we're planning on having the yard sale in the fall and didn't have one in the spring for various reasons. And for the Economic Development Committee, I'm trying to think, it was, we got an email from Jeff.
Yeah, I haven't heard
And,
anything yet.
yeah, and I guess a lot of people have questions about, is anything going into the old A&P at the top of Hackettstown Mountain? And I guess,
Mayor, did you know anything with that?
Only hearsay.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, just like hearsay, it's like supposedly there's talks in the works, but nothing's moving, so hopefully that moves along a little better, so that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Maney, anything on legislative or planning?
No, there's Senator Oro has a meeting coming up, which I will probably be attending. Planning Board, we have a meeting Thursday evening.
Thank you. Board of Health has a meeting, no meeting in July. Our next meeting is August 17th at 6:30 here. Mr. Roman, anything on open space or rec?
I have nothing for recreation, but on open space, it was a rather short meeting. We did have a representative from Washington Township. They are starting a trails committee over there, and they're wishing to coordinate their trails with ours. So both committees will be speaking amongst each other to better link our trails. There are various grants out there that are available, especially if townships within Morris County. start linking all available trails so that theoretically you can go from one side of the county to the other on the intricate trail systems that we have.
Thank
I'd
you,
like
Mr.
to link our stretch of railroad into the Columbia Trail, which is something that I tried to do before they started storing railroad cars on it.
Mr. Stewart, MOTV.
Just that the video was submitted that we took for the workshop that was done by Captain Beecher for the community and the chamber.
Okay, and there was one more. What was the other thing to get an update on? I can't remember the name of it.
That was also done in conjunction with
What's the name of that
um,
that you're at? I forgot.
MOAC, the
Okay.
Mount Community Action Board.
Okay.
And that's actually who did co-hosted it with the chamber for the workshop for the active shooter.
For the act, okay. Thank you. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Oh, seeing none from the public, close to the public. Council comments? Mr. Ferrante, Mr. Lebow, Mr. Mania, Mr. Stewart?
Just kudos to the all of our first responders for that storm that whacked everybody on Friday and Saturday.
Mr. Roman?
Nothing.
And I just want to thank everyone at the carnival was really there. I was there every night as well, and John was there with me on one night. But they did a great job. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff.
We had a lot
was
of
very,
fun.
Very good this year. So, thank you to all those people that helped out as well. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Close. Thank you all.
I couldn't make it to the carnival.
Demetrius around again?
No, I saw
Make it
him,
at
well,
home.
I think it was about a month and a half, 2 months ago.
I can't walk
So
from
can
the
you
parking
remember
lot,
anything from
handicap
your
parking
breakfast
lot
the other
to
morning?
the carnival. I can't walk that far.
Okay,
We
good.
could have got you up to.